movie is obviously about enchantment, but it's about life, and we take things so seriously. Do you think we need to lighten up or be more serious?
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I think obviously with the world the way it is, we need to lighten up. And certainly with movies, we need to do things that are light to give people a bit of a distraction from the realities of the world, and I think this does it really well. I think there's a great message in here without beating anybody over the head with it.
Do you think that we have lost our sense of enchantment in that magical side, or are we making it a little bit more, do we need to make it a little bit more simple?
Yes and no. I think because of the original sort of princess idea was like, okay, you find your man, you get married, and you're going to be happy if that's what you achieve. And then there's the reality that that's not in fact at all true, that there's a lot of work there and sometimes it doesn't end happily ever after. And I think it's a nice debate that they have, Giselle and Robert, when they discuss it, where he's like, look, it doesn't exist. You don't know if you're going to survive the day, let alone a lifetime with somebody. And she's like, oh, no, you do. And I think you need a little bit of Giselle and you need a little bit of Robert to make it to work.
I really, yeah, I think you have to have that magic.
You have to hope for some magic and look for the magic and identify it when it comes up. But at the same time, you don't put the pressure or the expectation on having someone be perfect, or that life is going to, once you achieve a certain thing, you're going to be happy ever after, because it's never that way.
In movies, we have these fairy tale endings, and a lot of us get caught up in that looking for your prince or princess.
Sure, right, exactly. Well, I think this is a different take on that, completely, in the fact that it's interesting that sort of if you look at it symbolically, the feminine energy saves the masculine at the end, where she goes and rescues him by picking up the sword. So you look at women are really kind of embodying that in the workplace with taking on sort of the masculine energy, but at the same time trying to keep the femininity and making that work.
In the film, you discourage your daughter from reading fairy tales. Do you think that's a good thing to encourage our children to be more realistic, or do you think we really should have a fantasy side?
I think you have to have a certain level of fantasy, but you have to look at it as mythology and what they're representing and discuss it that way, in a way that is, you know, that a child can digest. You know, I don't think you show them that this is the end-all be-all. You know, it's much more complex than that. And that in fact is a fairy tale, and what that represents is something else.
What are the top ingredients you think in making love last?
Keeping it fresh and not getting stuck in any patterns. I think that's really important. Communication, humor, acceptance, patience, sacrifice. I think all of those things are really important. And at the end of the day, respect. Great. And a good therapist.
You always need a good therapist. That's great. Thank you so much.